All right, dude. So I wanted to kind of switch gears real quickly, if I could, because you're a dad and you're a coach. So I feel like those kind of blend hand in hand. Would you mind kind of diving in a little bit on some like who are some mentors or coaches that you've come across in life that's really helped you kind of become who you are?
It's a fantastic question. It's funny you mentioned that first part because I'm actually writing an article, dual series on like how parenting has helped my coaching and how coaching has helped my parenting. So that'll
Nice.
be up on my website. But yeah, I think about that a lot. Honestly, as far as the parenting side and coaching, how it blends, I haven't really had a mentor in that respect. In my industry and in our industry, not a lot of people have kids. And it's definitely something that I've had to forge kind of my own way through. I've had a lot of coaching mentors for sure. And I'm working, like Austin Stout. I've done a lot of mentoring with him. I did some mentoring with Brett. So I've had mentors, but as far as like how to integrate the two, that's something I feel like is honestly a differentiator in my service and what I offer. And it's something I definitely want to bring more information around because I think you can do it all. And I don't think there's enough people talking about that.
Well, that sets it up for a pretty easy follow-up question. How do you do it all? Because people are love to talk about work-life balance, how you need to do it, and then other people are saying how there's no such thing. What is your take on all of that?
Yeah, so there's two things I really focus on. Number one is extreme efficiency. As I have had one kid and then two kids and started multiple businesses and have big projects going on, I've had to become hyper efficient. And Rob Deerdeck, believe it or not, is actually someone that really helped frame this for me a couple of years ago. Every hour is 4% of your life if you were to do it every day. And so I started thinking about things in the context of like my time cost. And whether that be I'm not doing it now, even if I make money because I'm losing too much time, or how do I automate my processes? I keep investing in that and analyzing my day. And that's the type of stuff I track for myself now is what am I getting done in the day versus what I need to get done? So number one
Mhm.
is become more efficient. The second thing is what I call consistency in the chaos. I preach it to all my clients. By becoming a jacked and lean, hard to kill, well-rounded, robust, badass human, you are more resilient to everything life throws at you. The plan is home base. So when life gets crazy and you're starting your businesses, you're doing a side hustle and a main hustle, you have to have consistency in the chaos. If you can become resilient, you will survive it and ultimately thrive out on the outside of it.
Love that. So those are the 2 points you got there is that efficiency and basically resiliency through the chaos,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yep.
How do you call it, phrase it? Just
Consistency in the
consistency.
chaos.
Nice. Yeah, I like that. That's pretty good.
Yeah. Yeah. I see kind of a third thing with the efficiency, one thing at a time. I used to think I could multitask. I no longer believe humans can truly multitask. You might think you can, and you might get some stuff done, but I don't think it's ever as effective as driving hard on one thing and then shifting gears. So
Oh,
I've become more efficient by actually becoming less broad in what I'm doing.
yeah, dude, that's so true. I was just speaking to somebody, I think earlier today or maybe yesterday, on kind of like multitasking and attention. And
Mhm.
I told him, I was like, dude, yeah, there was a little while there where I was like totally just checking out after work. And I was like spending time like searching for something on Netflix, couldn't decide on a show I wanted. And then once I finally found a show, I immediately took my phone out and I was like playing a game or surfing on Instagram or
Yeah,
something like that. And then I don't remember anything that happened in the show. And then I don't remember anything that I was like on Instagram or doing. So I'm just like, giving yourself attention in too many different places just leaves it with no attention. And yeah,
I
man,
love that.
it's tough, man. It's tough with if you don't have a how do you prioritize though?
Yeah, well, it's kind of what I said earlier about like the having the one thing that's going to move you forward in each individual
Oh
bucket.
yeah.
There's the main buckets, right? There's the fitness, there's family, and there's my business. Like those are the three buckets. What
Hmm.
am I driving on each of those, and what's my linchpin on each of those? Helps keep it boiled down, and then those weekly and daily kind of check-ins I do with myself helps make sure I'm on track. And so every night
Hmm.
before I go to bed, actually, I use the Google Task app, and I have those different buckets and then I have a bucket that I'm accumulating tasks on throughout the day, and then I'll slide them over to like work, family, whatever, and then I'll move it to what I'm doing tomorrow. So I have a bit of a
Hmm.
system of task assignment.
Nice. How did you figure that out, or how did you develop that? Is that just through trial and error? Or did somebody teach you that?
A lot of a lot of trial and error. I've always been to be honest, I've had a lot of anxieties and things in my life, and ADHD, and I was scatterbrained, and I've had to like really find as I become more efficient. I think I was just bad at being efficient, and again, like not keeping my attention focused on one thing because I didn't know
Yeah.
what that next thing was. So as I've identified that, it's helped me like create these systems to keep it there. You know,
Yes. Um, what's that strategy called? The Pomodoro effect or technique?
never heard of that. What's
I think
that?
I think I might totally be making this up, but I think it's when you dedicate like 20 minutes of time to just one task, and then you give yourself like 5 or 10 minutes to kind of give a little breather or a break. And
Yeah,
that
dude.
helps me kind of focus in because I'm like, okay, I can do anything for 20 minutes. So like, let me just focus on whatever this task is for 20 minutes. And then if I get it done, I can reward myself with like a few minutes of like a breather kind of thing.
I love that. I used to feel bad when I would like mentally crave like, Netflix or something after 50 minutes of work or whatever it was. And
Yeah.
used to feel bad about that. And I would honestly kind of drive on myself, be like, you need to suck it up and whatever. Once I started giving myself that time, and like we've talked about being present in that time, and it's like what my coaching is being present in the phase you're in. So once I had that time, I was present with the time. I started realizing my brain needed this hard reset, and I'd go back to work and I would crush the
Yeah.
next like 30, 45 minutes. And then I'd do a 30-minute break and crush. So like leaning into that has actually helped me more than it's ever hurt me. You
Wow.
know? Yeah.
Yeah. So do you have any kind of like mindful practices or mind like do you meditate or anything? So how do you keep yourself so sharp when you because you got these things, you got a lot of organizing, it's a lot of chaos. How do you keep that consistency during the chaos?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. When it comes to mindfulness, I think a lot of it stems from, again, having a good plan in place that sets up your energy and sets up your day. So if you aren't eating right, it's already going to be hard enough to control your mind because of things like the way the gut brain axis work, serotonin and dopamine, these balance things become imbalanced if you have too much inflammation and other issues. I won't go down that whole rabbit hole. So number one is have a good plan so you can expect certain levels of energy and productivity the next day. Because what you're
Mhm.
experiencing today is a lot of times a result of the previous days. Just like recovery in the
Yeah.
gym, like you train hard yesterday, so you're sore today. So I've
Yep.
started really driving hard on the plan, and then the next day I can know what to expect. But as far as when that
Hmm.
day comes and I start to feel anxieties or whatever come on, I have what I call triggers, and I use these with my clients as part of my goal setting process. We think about, again, what's going to get in the way of you reaching your goal, and what are we going to use to help keep you on track? Something auditory, visual, tactile, whatever it is, that's your trigger. And sometimes you can have multiple of them that pull you back on track. So number one is how I have a lot of triggers. I have my daughter's name tattooed in my arm. I have patience, which is something I've struggled with. So I physically see it in the day. But then I also do like a lot of meditation. And meditation to me is not sitting and humming and hawing, right? It's bringing your state of awareness to what thoughts am I allowing to take up mental space and being
Hmm.
okay existing with those thoughts. You're at a stoplight and it's less about like, are you honking your horn trying to go through the red light, or are you just okay with traffic flowing how it flows? So I've leaned into a more dynamic form of meditation because I have a lot of stuff to do. So I can't just like sit there all day long. It has to
Yeah.
become a more dynamic form where I'm able to just center myself through a quick, deep breath or, a quick trigger, basically.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, that's some pretty powerful stuff and very valuable to know that too, because I've been using Headspace app for like ever.
Love it.
And for a while there, I was like, all right, if I'm not sitting down quiet with my eyes closed and just breathing, then I'm not going to get the benefit of it. It wasn't until that
Mhm.
kind of like clicked in my head. I'm like, I can adapt my own kind of practice. It doesn't have to be exactly as whoever says my mindfulness has to be, but as long as I'm clearing my head and centering my focus, it helps. So
Exactly. I know a lot of high achievers, which I know people listen to your podcast. We're doers. Where a lot of times there's a lot of thoughts going through your head, and you say, "Hey, I need you to meditate." Because I work with a lot of busy professionals too, high achievers, and they say, "I can't,
yeah,
Jack. I can't. I've tried. I failed." I said, "You haven't meditated the right way then, because the right way is what works for you." But it is
yes,
also a bit of a challenge to say you need to find a way to make it work. right? It's not just to say this doesn't work for you. So you got to find a way to make it work. And by having that idea of it can be more dynamic and flexible in your day, and again, driving hard on like a singular thing, and then that moment that is a 5-minute Netflix break, that is essentially meditation. And you can evolve from some centered breathing to now you go on a walk, and now you're just thinking about the sounds and the smells and the sights, and that is also meditation. So make it dynamic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the terminology was silent cardio. Have you heard of that?
No, but I love it.
I guess like younger kids started like to make it popular. It's basically you just go outside for a walk without headphones and you just listen to nature and just pay attention to what's going on. I was like, what the hell? How is this popular right now? Like I've been doing this forever to just like focus myself.
How did I not start this trend? But
Yeah.
like that idea of, I think people are always trying to distract themselves, and they're trying to distract themselves with work or with music or conversations or Instagram, social media. Being able to just exist for a moment without that gives you all kinds of clarity. And it really drives your business and your life forward.
Yeah, seriously, it's crazy. So how many people
I love the way you think, man. We're so similar.
Yeah, I know. Well, that's why we connected so well down in Georgia. We were like, we were rifling ideas and talking back and forth in the car. Poor Eileen was probably like, "Who the hell is this guy?" He's like sitting here stealing away, and we're just chatting the whole time.
Right.
So I wanted to ask you, because you got a lot of things going on with your business. What are some like big goals or visions you have for your business yourself? Like, where do you want to bring it? Where are you looking to get to?
Yeah. So the biggest thing I need to work on right now is scaling me. Eileen is incredible. She's a project manager. She helps run everything on the back end, and we are just really time poor. So the biggest goal is to find ways to make things more efficient for us, so we can scale our thoughts and ideas. I'm getting into a lot more writing. I'm writing a book. I want to write multiple books. Want to get into more speaking. Open a gym. I've dug into creating equipment lines, supplement lines. I mean, really everything. I want to create a jacked and lean universe where you walk in and it's an experience of becoming this hard to kill version of yourself. You have access to every single resource you need along the way. And ultimately, it's something that can help curate your path for you in a bit of an AI sense. So we have these things that we take in about you, and ultimately there's like the articles I've written, podcasts I've been on, the gym, whatever it is, can help curate that path. That's the end state of where we want Jack Dealing to be. It's a movement more than just a coaching brand.
Dude, that's pretty inspiring. I love that. That's a great idea. And I can't wait to see that one day. It's going to be awesome to launch that and get that rolling.
It'll be sweet.
That's just such a unique idea too. Like, well, I mean, I guess essentially that's what people want when they come for coaching, right? Is that customized, more unique approach. And too many times people falling into like the cookie cutter approach. I mean, I've seen it with a bunch of my own mentors for business. They're like, they don't care anything about where I'm at or anything. They just tell you, oh, do this, do that. And then if you don't do it, it's on you. And that's like terrible reflection of them as a coach. But yeah, I still put in the stuff, but it doesn't fit for me. So it just goes back to like customization on the person.
I love that. How do I make hyper customization more efficient and scalable and keep making it more personalized? I think in an age where people are having issues making human connections, if you drive harder on that and you get to the root of what the person wants to become and who they are and where they're at, everything becomes more customized. And I think there's infinite potential still forever in things like business success if you keep driving on that. Right. I don't love doing group programs, and I've actually had a hard time writing like a program to just sell in the past because I said it wasn't customized, and I believe so much in customization. So yeah, very much on the same page there with you, man.
I can tell how important the communication and like the relationship building is for you. So I can totally see how the group setting, the cookie cutter program might not be the right fit for you because you put a lot of energy and effort into everything that you're doing. So I totally don't see you as someone who's connecting with any individual and just being and giving them half effort. I feel like with you, it's 150% effort all the time, nonstop. So I can
That's
totally
all
agree
you
with
get,
you.
man. I care I just care too much. I give too many fucks for part of my language. Like I care too much about the person in front of me. Like I'm sometimes unfortunately more passionate about their goal than they are. But yeah, man, I
Yeah,
appreciate hearing
that's
that
so
because
funny.
that's really been something I've tried to make the hallmark of my business and my differentiator.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So do you have you follow any specific kind of like morning routine, or are you somebody who just kind of ups and goes and hits the to-do list on certain things you've got to do?
Yeah. So I've gone back and forth on this over time. I think you try to look at these
Mhm.
morning routines of billionaires and you realize they're at a completely different spot than you, and or these, influencers on Instagram, and you're like, man, that takes 2 hours. And then, I have young kids that wake up whether I want them to wake up or not. So I have to be dynamic and flexible with my routine, but I have started waking up earlier to get that time back. What was happening initially is I'd wake up at the same time as them, go through our day. We'd have the time at night. I go to bed after they did. I woke up tired. So I'd say, I need some more time to myself. The biggest thing my morning routine is centered around is getting moments for me to think to myself. Because when I can, I am creative. So like I said earlier, setting up the day previously, going to bed at the right time, getting the right food in, things like that allows me to wake
Yeah.
up at early enough time for me to get my few moments to myself. So I wake up
Mhm.
in the morning around 4:30. I'll go downstairs, I'll hop on the treadmill, and on the treadmill, I'll review my to-do list real quick. And then actually in the mornings, what I'm doing after my little bit of morning walks and steps is moving into some of the content creation I want to do for that day. Like my more creative thought process is really
Yeah.
churning. Yeah. And I'll just drive on that for like an hour, hour and a half. And then my girls wake up and I roll about my day.
Cool. And so
Yeah.
is that typically like a day-to-day kind of thing, or is that kind of changes with the season or month and such?
Every day. So what I am, and I've seen success doing this recently, is whether it be Monday, Tuesday, or Sunday, every morning looks exactly the same. I go to bed at the same time. I wake up at the same time in the morning. That circadian rhythm is so incredibly important to not just like functioning of your health, but functioning of your mind and your brain and your efficiency during your day. So I have
Hmm.
really driven hard, on becoming more regulating with my circadian rhythm to help my day. But yeah, over time, it can evolve a little bit as these seasons change. But that comes down to, like we talked about earlier, identifying the next thing that's going to move you forward and where you're at with that. If I realize that my hour and a half in the morning is no longer best spent on creative thoughts, I don't foresee that changing anytime soon. I'll move into something else.
Mm.
If I feel like my creative thought is shifting more into the later mornings, I'll flip flop it. You just have to
Keeping that
have that check
flexibility.
in process with yourself.
Yeah. And that's
Yeah.
and you do a lot of that with the, what did you call it earlier? The LTM with Eileen?
And an L10 meeting.
Oh, L10. Okay. Yeah.
Level 10 meeting. Yeah.
Nice. I'm curious, what kind of tools do you use, or are you beginning to implement that will help you buy back some of your time? Because you're saying that's the biggest issue right now is you trying to multiply yourself. I know you touched on Google Tasks, I think it is.
Yep.
Do you use any other kind of software tools to kind of organize and make yourself more efficient?
Yeah. So Eileen and I have, we use Smart Sheets. So we use a project management tool to help keep everything streamlined there. We are integrating more things with our website, and obviously things like Flow Desks and Zapier and all these things to help automate the back end of the business. As far as the
Mhm.
day, getting your as much as you can on Amazon auto ship, even so you don't have to go through once a month and like order your supplements, like get things auto shipped. We use Instacart. I love going to the grocery store. That was something Eileen and I started doing a lot when we started dating. That was our thing. But when we had kids, those like 2-3 hours on the weekends, we need that back. So we
Yeah,
found a way to overcome the linchpin, or in another way to call it is friction, right? So we
yeah,
start identifying sources of friction, and that saved me a lot of time, actually.
nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't think like a lot of people often forget this, like the smaller things. Like as my schedule is getting a little bit busier, kind of mentioning to you before, I've got pretty long days, and it's not all like straight work, 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 work. A lot of that time for me is traveling in between different
Mm-hmm.
clients and making sure that I get home for a podcast recording or getting somewhere else to film some sort of content or something like that. So now I'm currently at a stage where I need to start implementing more of like a batching process so I can eliminate some of that downtime. I'm looking at my calendar, and this week alone, I'm spending almost 18 hours traveling between different locations for different things. And that's a lot of time I can buy myself back.
That's a lot of time, but I love how you've looked at that. I mean, that's very Rob Dyrdek of you, right? Like
Yeah.
he talks about how he like logs every hour. And once you identify that, another huge tenet of my coaching business is awareness. Once you have awareness to something, you can solve it, and you create awareness to that, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, maybe you can start flying and jetpacking places. That might save you a little bit of time or teleportation, but not yet.
Yeah. Got
Yeah.
a buddy who just bought a helicopter because it's going to save him close to like 40 hours of travel time.
And I'm sure his time is worth a lot of money.
Yeah, especially if you're buying a helicopter, it definitely certainly is. Yeah.
Right.
Um,
That's cool, man.
yeah. So I want to ask you though, because at a we can't all be Rob Dyrdek and have everything scheduled out to a certainty. I mean, we can try the best we can, but I know me personally, I've experienced a lot of burnout in different situations in life, even self thrown on, like trying to schedule everything down to like the last minute even. And I know me personally, I can't sustain that when I push too long unless I start scheduling in some rest and downtime. But how do you prevent burnout? How do you make sure that you're not grinding the gears down too far?
Mhm. A lot of it comes down to proper expectation setting. So, like with my kids, I lose from 6 to 8:30 every night that other people with kids don't lose. I used to beat myself up about that. And honestly still do some days. I'm like, as much as I love my kids, I wish I could work right now because I have a lot of ideas. But I've
Yeah,
started to just temper my expectations a little bit. And by doing that, that saves me that little bit of emotional and mental stress. And then again, I then put that into becoming more efficient during my day. And I actually feel like I am more productive than someone who has that whole day available now because they don't have the impetus to make it more efficient.
yeah,
So that's number one, is just setting expectations properly, because I think it helps you guide your decision making better, which inherently reduces stress and poor decision making. The second thing is I really double down on the back end of like my health. Dude, the way I eat and sleep and supplement and everything is dialed in. And it's not to become like this overly supplemented freak where I can't miss a day, but it's more so because I understand how my energy flows now. And I just love the way I feel. And I then realize if I do that on the back end and I'm trying to be as efficient as I can, if something comes up, my kid is sick, that's where the meditation and the mindfulness and everything comes in and say, hey, this day is just what this day is. And as I've gained experience in life, those days throw me off a lot less. So set yourself up, kick ass, and then eventually life is going to tell you when you need to pull back a little bit. Let it be okay, and then just roll the next day.
yeah, man. Oh, dude, I love it. I feel like even if I try to pull the conversation away towards something else, it just comes back to being jacked and lean and harder to kill, man. You're like
That's, that's it,
like
man.
the perfect representation of that phrase, those words put into human form. That's
I
you.
appreciate that, man.
So I want to ask you, you got the website out, you've got a lot of plans coming ahead, coaching, you doing mostly one-on-one online coaching. Explain to me what you got going on in the business sense of world right now. You were mentioning
Yeah.
articles and
So,
content and stuff.
yep. So we're really driving hard. We're going to be relaunching our podcast soon. I just love the back and forth and talking with people and educating. So, podcast. We have a videographer now for some YouTube stuff. We invested in a DJI Osmo for some vlogging. We're going on the cruise. We're going to be using that. So a lot of like content and putting my thoughts out there now so that people can start to hear. And honestly, I'm interested to see where that goes. I have a good back end business with my coaching. We have a lot of shows and client results that are rolling awesome in the background. But put that out, and we're writing the ebooks, write my books, and then we have some big projects. I'm not going to say right now because by the time this might come out, I might have announced it. If I don't, then afterwards I will. But some very, very big projects that are going to help tie all this together, like I talked about earlier.
Love that. Love that.
Yeah.
So with all the other extra things you've got going on, are you still taking on more clients, or are you kind of like are you still making sure that you have time for all your clients and throughout the day and such, or
Yeah. So it's one of those things where I think it's easy for a client to just like coach to always accept more, more, more without understanding what it takes from them. And what I've become better at over time is I still give the same 110% to every single client. So I know my
yeah,
bandwidth there. And, as someone drops off or they get really, my goal is I want to help as many people as possible. Some people achieve the end results. And then if the right person comes along, I'll take on another one. So the whole goal is to get the business to a point where I honestly like a little bit of churn, but it's because people are achieving results. And some people work with me for years. I've had clients that work with me for 5-7 years at this point, but a little bit of churn. So yes, I am taking on the right person, the person that wants to become jacked and lean and harder to kill. We are taking those people on, and as we are going to be bringing on some other coaches here, hopefully soon as well, that'll allow us to expand that opportunity.
Very exciting. Nice.
Yeah,
so if somebody is that perfect fit where they are looking to be jacked, lean, and harder to kill, how do they reach out to you? How do they follow up with you, consume some of your content? Where do they go to get in touch with you?
The quickest and easiest way to see Jack and all myself is on Instagram, jacked_ko_fit. But then we are all also going to be launching our website here. It should be out by the time this podcast episode is out, hopefully. jackedandlean.com. So www.jackedandlean.com.
Sweet. Is that spelled just jacked with the letter N, lean.com?
Yes,
or how
yes.
is that spelled?
Yeah, so jacked, JCKEDNLEEN.com. And that's where we'll have inquiry forms on there, things about our services, the blog, all that kind of stuff.
Awesome, dude. Yeah, I'm excited. I knew you had a lot rolling, and you looked like a person who was a go-getter when I first connected with you. So I'm excited to see how much more you're going to be pumping out and producing, and I can't wait to consume it because you've got a plethora of knowledge in not just fitness, but also business and personal development. And I love following you on social media. So guys, check them out on social media. Check out the website when it's live, and yeah, give him a follow, shoot him a message. He's pretty easy, quick on the DMs too. So don't be afraid to ask him anything. And dude, I want to thank you so much for taking the time. I do want to be courteous of your day because I know you're a busy guy. You got a lot of things going on. But before I let you go, if you were to boil it all down and leave one piece of advice for those young entrepreneurs to help them survive the side hustle, what would that be?
You need to hold the vision. You need to establish the vision, then hold it like hell. And if you want that side hustle to become your full-time hustle, you're going to keep holding that vision, keep driving towards it every single day, and eventually it'll become reality.
Love it, man.
Hold the vision, man.
Again, thank you so much for taking the time. I'd love to have you back on down the road once you got some of these new projects on the road. Yeah, man. Thank you so much. I love chatting with you, dude. You're a pleasure to have on. Looking forward to chatting with you again soon, dude.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me on, brother.
Peace, peace, peace.
Oh. Yeah, I think it went all right.